The first time Rachel Turner saw the man standing in the pouring rain outside a small grocery store in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, she made a decision in less than 5 seconds, a decision she would regret for the rest of her life. His jacket looked worn, his shoes were old, and his pickup truck seemed like it had survived decades of hard roads. To Rachel, who had spent years building a successful real estate career and carefully crafting a polished image, he looked like someone who had nothing to offer. What she didn't know was that the truth hiding behind that simple appearance would completely change the way she saw people forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness matters more than appearances, and if you believe in hope, compassion, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more heart-touching stories. Rachel was admired throughout her community. She was intelligent, ambitious, and known for her confidence. At 32 years old, she had everything many people dreamed of: a beautiful home, financial success, and a growing business. Yet beneath her achievements was a quiet habit she rarely noticed in herself. She often judged people quickly. She believed hard work always showed itself through expensive clothes, luxury cars, and impressive titles. The man she saw that rainy afternoon was named Caleb Morgan. He had recently moved back to Iowa after many years away. Caleb preferred a simple life. He dressed modestly, drove an old truck, and spent much of his time volunteering at local shelters and community projects. Most people assumed he was struggling financially. Caleb never corrected them. He had learned long ago that people revealed their true character when they believed there was nothing to gain from knowing him. Several weeks after their first encounter, Rachel attended a charity fundraiser organized for families recovering from a devastating flood that had affected nearby communities. As she greeted guests and networked with business owners, she noticed Caleb helping arrange tables and carrying supplies. When he later approached her to introduce himself, Rachel responded politely but briefly before turning her attention to wealthier guests she considered more important connections. Caleb smiled kindly and moved on without showing disappointment. Months passed. Rachel occasionally saw Caleb around town. He seemed to know everyone. Elderly residents greeted him warmly. Local business owners respected him. Children ran toward him excitedly whenever he volunteered at community events. Yet Rachel remained convinced he was simply a nice man without much ambition. Then life began changing in ways she never expected. A major economic downturn hit the region. Several housing projects Rachel had invested heavily in suddenly stalled. Interest rates climbed. Buyers disappeared. Within months, her company faced severe financial pressure. Bills accumulated faster than revenue. The confidence that had once defined her slowly turned into anxiety. For the first time in years, Rachel felt vulnerable. As challenges mounted, many of the professional contacts she had relied upon vanished. Phone calls went unanswered. Promises of support disappeared. People she had once helped seemed too busy to return her messages. One afternoon, exhausted and overwhelmed, Rachel attended a community meeting about economic recovery efforts. To her surprise, Caleb was leading the event. Dozens of local leaders listened attentively as he discussed plans to support struggling businesses and create new jobs in the area. Rachel sat quietly, confused. How had this seemingly ordinary man become the center of such an important conversation? The answer arrived days later. A newspaper feature highlighted a major investment initiative transforming several Midwestern communities. The article revealed that Caleb Morgan was the founder and owner of a highly successful logistics company worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Years earlier, he had sold part of his business and dedicated much of his wealth to helping small towns thrive. Despite his resources, he continued living modestly because he believed character mattered more than status. Rachel stared at the article in disbelief. Everything she thought she knew about Caleb had been wrong. But what affected her most wasn't his wealth. It was remembering how he had treated her despite her dismissive attitude. He had never acted offended. He had never embarrassed her. He had simply continued being kind. A few weeks later, Rachel found herself facing the possibility of losing everything she had built. Her company needed support to survive. Swallowing her pride, she requested a meeting with Caleb. The conversation was one of the most difficult moments of her life. For the first time, Rachel admitted her mistakes, not just in business, but in how she had judged people. She confessed that she had looked at appearances instead of character. She expected criticism. Instead, Caleb listened patiently. He understood failure because he had experienced it himself years earlier when he was building his company. He understood disappointment, fear, and regret. Most importantly, he understood the power of second chances. Rather than focusing on Rachel's past behavior, Caleb focused on her future. Over the following months, he connected her with community programs, introduced her to local leaders, and encouraged her to rebuild her business with a greater purpose. Rachel worked harder than ever before. This time, however, success was no longer measured only by profit. She began mentoring young entrepreneurs and volunteering alongside the people she once overlooked. Slowly, her company recovered. But the greatest transformation happened within her heart. She learned that some of the richest people wear ordinary clothes. Some of the strongest people carry invisible struggles. And some of the most valuable opportunities come disguised as ordinary moments with ordinary people. Before we reach the ending, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever misjudged someone based on first impressions and later discovered how wrong you were? Years later, Rachel often reflected on that rainy afternoon outside the grocery store. She realized that life had given her a lesson far more valuable than financial success. Appearances can be deceiving, but kindness rarely is. The qualities that truly define a person, compassion, integrity, humility, and generosity, cannot be measured by clothing, cars, or social status. Caleb never reminded Rachel of her mistake. He never needed to. His example spoke louder than any words ever could. And if this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Sometimes the greatest treasures in life are not the people who look important, they are the people who quietly choose kindness when nobody is watching. And those are often the people who change the world the most.